Now this is the thing. This is one thing I want to tell you about that slave quarter house that we lived in down there. Mm-hmm. Now it had one little bedroom in the back, no bigger than a closet, where Cousin Bean slept at. Mm-hmm. Right? Don't put this rock on really. Oh, they might get offended. I'm dead serious.
So don't talk about it if you.
But this, I'm telling you how the house went. But she lived in that little spot back there. Then you had the small little kitchen. Then you had the dining room where we slept in.
Right.
Then you had date room. Then you had dad room. Mm-hmm. Right? You had them few quarters. Now, there's a picture on the internet with that house with just showing just two of the rooms, the front of the house and just two of the rooms.
Where we stayed in?
Where we stayed at. I looked it up. I told you, I did the history on that. So the thing about what I'm trying to get to at is that night when we was all in there and something came knocking at the door.
Yeah, I remember that, man.
And we looked out the window and wasn't nothing there.
Yeah.
Opened up the door, still nothing there. Closed the door back, looking out the window, count to 3, knock, knock, knock. It was a knock. It wasn't nothing like banging the door like if it was a dog in his tail. It wasn't none of that. It was knocks. So I think, man, back there, one of them slaves that lived there he didn't rest easy. They might have took that man out of his house and killed him. They used to do them dirty back in the day. They used to do them real dirty, man.
Yo, but the thing that got me with that, man, is that I didn't find out that was an actual plantation, man, till I would say no more than maybe 4 years ago, man. 4 or 5 years ago.
We all did. Because what happened, I found out.
About 8 years ago,
I ain't find that. I didn't know that. I found out when I was on the computer one day when we was on Bear Street. And I was looking up, I said, you know what, I'm going to look for that Coolmore farm. And that's when I looked it up, and it says not slave plantation, Coolmore plantation. I looked
it up to it say Coolmore plantation. Edgecombe County. Yeah.
So I looked over the whole view of the whole area. Yeah. And if you look at the whole view of the whole area, you can see where it's a plantation. It had where that big house at, where the Powell's house. His name was J.J. Powell. And when the other house, remember the other house now when we go down around the path and stuff to go to Boozy House, there was another nice pretty house right there. Yeah. That was his nephew's house. He moved on the farm to take over.
Okay.
Because the old man died up in the house. Yeah. He died. Mm-hmm. And so he moved over, him and his wife moved, which his name was Joe Spire, and his wife's name was Jane. And he moved over there on there to take it over because they knew he could keep it up and everything. He stayed there up until 2011, man.
What?
Yeah, the house is a museum. It's a museum now. It's a historical house and it's a museum.
Wow.
And now I went down there last year, 2017, went on Coolmore Farm. You know the house that we stayed in? Yeah. It's not there. It's gone. It's gone, D. Boosie house gone, D.
Wow.
Booty Greenhouse gone, D. All them old slave houses are gone. But let me ask you one thing. You remember we went way past Miss Lubertha house? And we went way back up in the woods?
Creepy.
And we found a potato barn, an old potato barn?
Yeah.
Now that was old.
That was creepy too.
And they got that on the internet.
Wow. Yo, y'all look up Coolmore plantation, man. You're going to find some history there, man.
Some history.
And real talk, yo, we was there.
We went deep up. Now remember this, man. Remember this clear, dog. Open them eyes. We went way back up in the woods as far as we can go. This is the honest God truth. If y'all remember this yourself, we was going so deep, we started thinking we was hearing heartbeats. Was you remember right, D? Boom, 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 boom. But what we seen was like lumps in the ground, looked like graves too. You remember that? And then remember somebody, I don't know, it could have been you because you always was the culprit. You said something. Yo, you see that? And everybody took off running.
That's cool, man.
Everybody took off running, man. And who hit their toe? Smokey? Smokey hit that toe or something. Him or Bo P hit that toe. Yeah, man.
Bo P though, man.
But that was a historical landmark.
One thing you asked me to open my eyes and look, I'm listening, I hear everything you're saying, and you're absolutely right. You know, there was ghosts on that farm. And if anybody denied it, there's not ghosts.
Yeah.
Matter of fact, if you don't believe they ghosts, go stay down on the Coolmore plantation in Edgecombe County.
And I know
you go stay there.
We know it did a knock from a bang or anything else, You know, the several times this little blonde-head kid been spotted in the woods out there.
That drowned back then.
People didn't play about stuff like that. So I always believed it, you know, but overall, what we saying about today and where we at today and how we never realized that this really was, we was living on a slave quarters, and the big house is still there. They're tearing all the slave houses down now. Most of them are gone. But this is irrelevant to even, you know, where we was at. We was right next door to Tarbell in Princeville, North Carolina, to one of the first free charter black towns, to where the Civil War, when black free people first started making their houses at, and this is where we actually
live.
From the Coolmore's farm, we actually end up going to Princeville, living to one of the first free black charter towns, to where a man named Prince started building houses from where they had where they had the Union and the Confederate War, to where the slaves were free. They gave them a choice to leave, or either they could stay on the plantations to where they was all at, spread across that area of the neck of the woods, which was a lot of swamp, a lot of swamp woods and stuff like that. But a man named Prince, I forgot his last name, decided to start building in Princeville there, where those Confederate Unions, they stayed under the guard of those guys, to where he was able to get a house built. And when they finally started moving out, he had more people to help him to start building. Now we had an old, I forgot the name of the church, the whole name, but I know it was a primitive Baptist church, one of the first primitive churches built in Princeville, which we've been there. You know, as a matter of fact, my Aunt Boosie had a funeral there. But I'm just saying, we got a part of history that's so rich and deep within our blood, even to where we go back to Goldsboro, North Carolina, to where our great uncle, to our relation, our family members, started the first church of you know.
Coach.
I can't explain it all. It takes my mother and all them to explain all this to you, but we got so much deep history, even to where we was at on Coolmore's farm, to where we didn't realize we was living on slave quarters, but we had liberty to roam those quarters, because now by this time in the area, it was no more slave time. So we did pretty much what we wanted. We literally went into a watermelon field of thousands of watermelons, and what we would do was go into the field and take a watermelon this big and bust it open and eat the heart of the watermelon. All three of us would have a heart. And we must have busted up about 20 or 30 watermelons.
Messed up a whole crop, man.
And that's just the beginning. We did so much on the farm, to where one day the members of the farm that was tending the farm and lived around in the area, they came to where we was living at in this slave quarter house.
Let me tell the story from my version. Okay, we was all at home, you know what I'm saying, eating biscuits, molasses, you know what I'm saying, some good old meat and stuff that Aunt Dink had cooked up for us, some fat backs and pork and something. You know, I'm vegan now, but back then, you know what I'm saying, I was with the world. You know what I'm saying? And it was creepy at night still. You know, you look at Hollywood, you find ghosts.
I think we had pig ears.
Real talk though, you look at Hollywood, you find ghosts. But on the Coolmore plantation, it was a real thing called spirits. And that's what was out there. You know what I'm saying? But let me go to the story of how, you know, the people of the plantation